Let's talk security in Workday. I think I did give you a brief around how security architecture is configured, right? The functional area. So we will have functional areas. Under functional areas, we will have domains. Under domains, we will have subdomains. This is not mandatory, it's optional. For some domains, if they have a lot of content, then they would divide it into subdomains. Otherwise, they'll just use domains. Okay. In domains, you will see secured actions. In secured actions, you'll see task, reports, and fields that will provide access to this subdomain or domain will provide access to secured actions like task, report, and field. And here you will define if it's a view access or modify access. Depending upon what you select, that is the access that will be provided. So if you selected modify access, and whichever security groups that you define here will determine what will be the access provided to that particular domain and subdomain. All right. Now let us talk about, I hope you understood the basic here, like how the entire thing is structured. So this is how it is structured. Now let us talk about what exactly is a security group in Workday. Okay. So a security group will define, so security group will define what type of security privilege a person who is assigned to that particular group will get. For instance, let's say you are assigned as a manager. So let us take an employee. So this is an employee in Workday that you hired. This person is currently hired as into a manager position. Now you would have to provide this person all those access that are manager related. For example, if consider this is a supervisory organization. In this supervisory organization, you have like 5 employees, suppose, and you are assigning this employee as the manager of the supervisory organization. This employee is going to be the manager of the supervisory organization, meaning all these employees will be reporting to this one employee. So as a manager, the employee will have certain access privileges, right? An example, if you have seen in multiple business processes, there is an approval by manager. So how does Workday know to send this approval to this person? It will be depending on the security group assigned to the person. So if this person is assigned the manager security group, Workday knows that, hey, okay, this person is a manager, and that's how Workday is going to send the. So how does Workday know that this person is the manager for this particular supervisory organization? It will depend upon the security access that is assigned to this employee. Now every time you are hiring someone to a manager position, how will you assign that manager role to that employee? So every time you cannot manually assign things, right? It should be automated. So there are different types of security groups in Workday. They are called, some of the most commonly used security group types are role based security group, and we also have user based security group. So what exactly is a role based security? A role based security is, it will automatically assign the security group to a role. So suppose there is a position, and this position is called as manager. How will this position become the manager position? It will be like when you are creating a when you are creating a position, and you will say that this person will be assigned the job profile of manager. Okay, you will create a position called as manager in that particular supervisory org, and on the supervisory org, on the org level, you will assign the role of the manager to this particular position. I'll show you how it is done. Let's just go back to the tenant. If I go to any supervisory org like the one that we were working with, Global Modern Services. If I go to Global Modern Services, and if I look at any, no, let's not go to this one. Let's go to the executive management group. And if I go to any of the employee, for example, Joy Banks, you can see that for Joy Banks, the manager is Steve Morgan. Similarly, all the employees in this particular supervisory org, executive management group, if I open a few employees in this group, like this one, Eva Gonzalez, Jake Lee, Maximilian Schneider, okay. If I take these three employees, for example, we can see that all these employees have the same manager. So for Maximilian, the manager is Steve Morgan. For Jake, the manager is Steve Morgan. For Ava also, the manager is Steve Morgan. Now, why is Steve Morgan the manager for all these employees? Because Steve Morgan is assigned as a manager for executive management group supervisory org. He is the manager for this particular supervisory org, and all the employees who are hired into this particular supervisory org will automatically report to Steve Morgan because he is the manager for that particular supervisory org. Now, how would you assign somebody as a manager to a supervisory organization? So this is how you would do it. If you go to the supervisory organization, go to the related actions, you will see, if you scroll down, you will see roles. So in the roles, you will see assign roles, and this is where you will assign all the role assignments. Okay, so basically if you look here, there is a role called as manager, and you will assign this particular role not to Steve Morgan but to the position that Steve Morgan holds. If I go to Eva Gonzalez here, and if I open Steve Morgan, you will see that I have assigned this manager role on executive management group to Steve Morgan's position. So that is P00001. If I look at Steve Morgan's position here, P00001, Chief Executive Officer, and you are assigning that person as a role of manager. Now let me explain what exactly that does that mean. So you have executive management group, and you know that Steve Morgan is the manager currently for this group. There are some 10 employees in this group. So for all the 10 employees, Steve Morgan is a manager. Now Steve Morgan, so this is Steve Morgan. He is currently holding this position. So I'm just going to draw it this way. What is this? This is a chair, for example. This chair is the position of Chief Executive Officer. Now, how would somebody become a Chief Executive Officer? When they get allocated that particular position. So this CEO position is P00001. CEO. You created a position called P00001 somewhere, and then you assign that position called as CEO. You call it CEO, right? And when you are hiring an employee, so when Steve Morgan is hired into this particular position, that person will become the CEO of that position. CEO, he will hold that position. So Steve Morgan is only a CEO as long as he is assigned to this particular position. Okay. Now what you're doing is you are assigning, if you are going into this supervisory org and you are assigning the role of a manager to this position P00001. You are not directly assigning the role of a position to a person, rather you are assigning that role to a position. So whenever someone gets hired into this particular position, they will automatically get this particular role access, the role of a manager. And this role is tied to a security group called as manager. I'll get here, but did you understand until here how Steve Morgan became a manager in the first place? Is the concept clear? Okay, so you are not
Yes, sir.
assigning Steve Morgan as the manager, you're assigning the position Steve Morgan holds as a manager. Now I'll tell you why this is important. So this is a position P00001 CEO, and this is assigned to the role, this is assigned a manager role. Today it is Steve Morgan who is assigned to this role. Tomorrow it might be some other person who will become the manager. So when a person leaves that position, they will also renounce those security privileges. And the person who will join that position will automatically receive the roles that are assigned to that particular position. That is why it is called as a role based security. You are not assigning the security to a position. I mean, you are not assigning the security to a person. Rather, you are assigning the security to a position. And all the roles assigned to that position will automatically be inherited by the person who will be allocated or occupying that particular position. So what you'll do in Workday is to create a role-based security group. So if you want to create a role-based security group, there are two things. First is you will define all the assignable roles, and then you will also create a security group. So you are first going to create role names. So manager is actually a delivered role, but let's say you wanted to create a custom role like org approver. Suppose org approver is a role that you want to create. What you'll do is first you will create a role called as org approver. You'll create a role called an org approver, and then you will define where these roles can be assigned. So you will say that these roles can be assigned on the supervisory org. They can also be assigned on cost center. They can also be assigned on company. So you'll define which organizations can you assign that particular role. And you understand this as well. Role-based security can only be assigned on organizations. So it can be a supervisory org or a cost center or a company or location hierarchy, but at the end of the day, you will only be able to assign the role-based security assignments on a organization. Okay, so now you'll define which organizations you will want to assign that particular security. Okay, after you determine that, so after you determine which organizations you want to assign, you will create the security group. Now understand, role, this is the role, this is a security group. Now what you will do is you will create a security group with the same name, and that is a general um, Workday standard. So you'll also call it as org approver. The security group also you'll call org approver, and then you will link the security group with this role. Now what, and here the security group will be given access to domain security policies. Okay, so what would happen is when someone is assigned this particular org approver role, now how will you assign it? This org approver role might be available on, depending upon what you define. So it can be available on one of these organizations like supervisory org or location hierarchy. Okay. So let's suppose right now org approver is on supervisory org. So you will go to the supervisory orgs. So let's say global modern services. Here you will say, I would like to assign this particular role of what org approver to a specific position. Now, whenever someone occupies this particular position, they will automatically be assigned the role of org approver. Now, org approver is assigned to a security group also called as org approver, and this security group has these security policies. So these security policies will automatically be available for this particular person. They will get all the security access. The moment he leaves this particular position, the moment he leaves it, that particular security policy will become void. So now this position is vacant. Any new person who will join this position will now automatically get access to the security policy. So I'll show you in Workday how that is. So let me open security groups. View. Now this is how you can access security groups in Workday. Just search for security groups. There are different actions with security group. You can see all security groups, and then you can also create a security group. So view security group for user or create a security group. Now let me view the security groups. So in the view security groups, I'm going to go and open a role. So these are the different types of security groups that you have in Workday. You have role-based security, um, segment security, service center security. A lot of different types of security groups are there. We will be discussing only the important ones, I mean the most important ones. So I'm going to open the role-based security group here. If you look at the role-based security, and I'm going to open one of the existing ones. So let's say, let me take HR partner by location. Let me search for HR partner. If you look at this particular security group in Workday, you would see that the name of the security group is HR partner by location, and the assignable role is HR partner by location. So understand this again. Just now I explained you how the role security group and domain security policies are assigned. So first you'll have to define a role. First you will define a role, and then you will define a security group, and this security group will be given access to domain security policies. If you look at this here, HR partner is the assignable role. So basically you are saying the role here is HR partner by location. This is a role that you have defined. It is a role. You are just defining a role saying called role name is HR partner by location. And you are saying that this particular role can be used on location hierarchy. What does that mean? You can assign this particular role of HR partner on location hierarchy. For now, just understand that you will get to. I'll show you step by step things. For now, just try to make sense of what I'm saying, and I'll repeat it a few times so that you understand exactly how this linking is done. Okay. See, HR partner by location is a role that you are defined, and you're saying that this particular role can be used on location hierarchies. Okay, so what I'm saying here, this particular role can be assigned on which org? location hierarchy. I said here, right? If I go here, I said this particular role will be assigned on a specific org. It can be supervisory org, location hierarchy, cost center, company. It could be any one of the organization. So I have configured this particular HR partner by location role is configured on location hierarchy in Workday. Okay, so you have defined this role. Now what you're doing is you are also creating a security group. Now what is a security group that is created here? If I just go back, the name of the security group is HR partner by location unconstrained. This is a security group that is created, and you are assigning this particular security group to this particular assignable role. So that is where you are attaching it. Here HR partner you have created unconstrained, HR partner unconstrained.
Nikhil, you did not explicitly create the security group, is it?
I am just explaining one of the security groups that is already there, and I will create a security group and show you. So I'm just explaining one of the existing security groups, and this particular security group is assigned to different domain security policies. So if I go to this particular policy here in staffing, if I look at the domain security policies, so functional area, view domain security policies. On this, you will see that a lot of areas where HR partner is assigned. So here, if I go to this particular domain security policy called manage prospect consent, here you will see HR partner by location unconstrained is assigned view and modify access. So this is a security group. This security group is assigned to this particular assignable role, and this assignable role is assignable on location hierarchy. And you can see these are the different location hierarchies we have. If I go to this particular location hierarchy, so you can see that the type of this Australia is a location hierarchy type. And if I go to roles here, you can see if I search for HR partner by location, you can see there are certain people who are assigned this particular role on a location hierarchy. These people will automatically inherit all the domain security policy permissions, all the domain security policy permissions that is defined for this particular security group. And you can see all the domain security policy permissions. You can see domain security permissions like worker data, pre-hire. So these are all different domain security policies, and all these policies will be assigned to that person who is holding that particular role. Does that make sense? Let us create a security group. So now let me create a security group in Workday. So you can go this way, create security group. Now remember, as an HCM consultant, you will not be creating any kind of security groups. So this is purely for your understanding purpose. I'll be creating a role-based security. So if I scroll down, you will see that there is a role-based security here. Now you might be wondering what is a role-based security constraint and what is an unconstrained security group. I will explain you what is the difference between these two different types of security groups. For now, I'm just going to take a constrained security group, and I'm going to call this particular security as let's say supervisory org. I'll say time profile approver. I'm just going to create a random security group, time profile approver. That is the name of the security group. So this is where I'm defining the name of the security group. Okay, I'll rub these all. So what all is here? First, you have to define a role. You also define where this role is assigned. So the org name, and then you also have to define the security group and domain security policies. Okay, for now what I'm doing is I'm creating a security group called as time approver. That's what I called that, right? Time profile approver. Okay, so I created a security group called as a time profile approver. Okay, so let me just go ahead and create a role-based unconstrained security called time profile approver. Now here, if you look, there are certain things that you have to enter. This is the name of the security group. You also have to enter an assignable role. So it is also asking you which role you will assign to this time profile approver. So you'll also have to create an assignable role in Workday. So let us also create an assignable role. This is how you'll create assignable role. Maintain assignable roles. Now here I'm going to define a new role called as time profile approval. Now this is a generic practice in Workday where whenever you are creating a role-based security, the role name and the security group name are generally the same. This is a standard that Workday recommends. So whenever you are creating a security group, make sure you're using the role name the same as the security group name. However, although this is Workday standard, certain companies don't do this. They would give the role a different name and the security group a different name for whatever reason. But some companies don't do it, some companies do it. But when they do it this way, there can be a chance of certain confusion between how the assignments look on the organization versus what is a security group assigned to that particular role. So I'll show you the difference in some time. For now, I'll just create the role as time profile approver, and here is where I will define for whom this particular role is enabled for. So I will search for Workday organization types, and you can see these are the different organization types that we have in Workday. I'm going to say this is enabled for supervisory organization in Workday. And then there are certain other fields which you can give. I'm not going to update anything here. I'll just say that this field can be administered by security admin, which means that security admin can assign this particular role to anyone in Workday. So someone who has security admin access will be able to assign any person, any position as a time profile approver. Where they will be able to assign, they will only be able to assign it on supervisory org in Workday. Any questions here? Did you understand this particular config? I'm creating a role called as time profile approver. So here I'm configuring this particular role called as time profile approver, and which org I'm enabling it for? Supervisory orgs. Okay, so I'll just create it. I'll click OK, and you have created the time profile approver. So you have created this particular role. Now I can assign this role here. So I'll go this time, I'll go here and search for time profile approver. You'll get it. If I go by organization type, if I'll say I want to see all the security groups that can be assigned on a supervisory org. So if I just scroll down to supervisory here, you will see that these are the different roles that you can assign on a supervisory org. So basically all these roles, if I just remove this and say enabled for supervisory here. If I select supervisory over here, filter, You will see there are about 33 roles that you can assign on a supervisory org. You'll also see some of these roles are like there are this role alternate owner can be assigned on these many different orgs. So you can have more than one org defined where you can assign that particular role. So alternate owner can be assigned on acquisition, on company hierarchy, cost center. Right? So on all these different orgs, you can create a role called as alternate owner. For now here I'm going to select time profile approver as a assignable role. Now you look at the access rights to the organization. This particular, right now I have created this role as a constraint. So it automatically selects the constrained level access. However, if depending upon which option I select, it will become constrained or unconstrained. So let me explain you what exactly is constrained and what exactly is unconstrained. Let me just take a quick screenshot. Now you understand that we are creating these roles on a specific organization. You will be creating this on an organization. It could be any organization. It could be a supervisory org, or it could be a location hierarchy. It could be any type of organization in Workday. Okay. Now, depending upon the option that you select, it will provide different level of access. So let's suppose this is an organization in Workday. So this is a supervisory org in Workday. It has a couple of subordinate orgs like this. Okay. So these are orgs A11, A12, A13, A111, A112. This is A131, A132, A1121. Okay, so I just named it all some number. Now suppose I select this very first option. If I select applies to current org only. So whatever access privileges that this particular, so I'm just also going to say that this security group is called as, so let's just suppose time profile approver, the one that we created. If I create the time profile approver as a security group that is constrained to applies to the current organization only, which means that if I assign a person as time profile approver on supervisory organization A, whatever domain security policies that is applicable to the time profile approver will be constrained to this particular supervisory org only. If I select applies to the current organization only, which means that whatever access privileges that this particular security group provides, it will be constrained to this particular org. So all the employees in this particular org, I will be having all the access permissions that this particular security group provides from the domain security policies. Meaning the domain security policies will only be applicable for this particular org. It will not be applicable for the rest of the orgs. If I select the very first option. Understood? Any questions? I have to hear yes or no. Guys,
Fine.
any questions?
No,
Yes.
no.
Okay. Now, if I'm going to select the second option, let's say I selected this option, applies to current organization and unassigned subordinates. So what does that mean? If I assign this particular supervisory org, this security on time profile approver on this particular supervisory org, I will have access to this particular supervisory org as well as unassigned organizations. Meaning, so here on this particular org where I am assigned this time profile approver, I have that security access, and all the unassigned organizations. Unassigned organizations meaning if there is an organization like this B. So all these organizations are assigned, meaning it has a specific hierarchy, it has a at least a superior org. This is not assigned anywhere, it is just dangling in the, like it is just an independent org, it is not assigned anywhere. So any person, let's say this person A is assigned the time profile approver. This person will be the time profile approver for all the employees on this particular organization as well as this particular organization, because this is an unassigned organization. Organization B is unassigned. So that is what it means. Applies to current organization and unassigned subordinates. So this is an unassigned subordinate, hence it will be applied to this particular organization as well. Suppose if I select the third option, yeah,
You're saying subordinates, is it? As in
hmm,
like subordinate for this A, whichever, like the superior.
unassigned. So any organization that is not assigned to A, it will become an unassigned subordinate technically. So if I take C here as well, B and C are unassigned subordinates to A, and we are calling it subordinate, but we don't know because A already has a couple of subordinates, right? So it is going to think that B and C are unassigned subordinates. Hence, time profile approver is automatically assigned. Even if you assign time profile approver here on A11, or even if you assign a time profile approver here to this particular org, it will assign it here, and also it will check for any unassigned orgs. So you can see that B and C are unassigned subordinates. So it will assume that these orgs were supposed to be a subordinate for this, but it is not assigned. So I'm going to automatically assign the security to all the unassigned organizations. If it is a subordinate of a different organization, then it will not be assigned. It is, you see here, unassigned subordinate. So they are independent. They are just an independent, meaning there is no superior org, there is no subordinate. It is just one single org. It does not have any supervisory org. It does not have any superior org. It does not have any subordinate org. You understand?
Okay, okay, got
It's
it.
a single org without any, which is not part of any hierarchy. A single supervisory org, which is not assigned to any superior, or which is not a superior to anyone, which does not have a subordinate, that is an unassigned org. So if you select this second option, that is what will happen. You guys can go on mute, I am hearing echo. So if you select the second option, that is what will happen. It will assign to the current, whichever org you are assigning it, and all the unassigned orgs. Now if you select the third option, suppose you are not going with the first or second option, but you selected applies to current organization and all subordinates. So if you assign a person, let's say you assign it to Nikhil on this particular top org, TPA. Nikhil will be the TPA for A13, A12, A11, A11, A12, A121. He will automatically have access to, he will automatically be the time profile approver for all these organizations because they are all subordinates. Suppose I assigned Nikhil as a TPA only on this particular organization. If I assign it only on this particular organization, so what it says applies to current organization and all subordinates. So this person will now only be assigned to this and this. He will not be assigned here because it's not part of the superior org hierarchy. Here I'm assigning, it will just go down, it will not go sideways or upways. So that is applies to current organization and all subordinates. So that is the access rights that I'm talking about. Access rights to the organization. If I select applies to current organization and all subordinates, it will apply to the current organization and all the subordinate orgs under that particular org. So subordinates, it will go towards the until the end of the hierarchy. Now, you can also say that I don't want to assign it to all the subordinates. I want to assign it to a specific level. That is the fourth option. Suppose I'll say that I want to assign it to all subordinates up to level 2. So if I assign it here, TPA, it will assign it to, this is level 0, this is level 1, and this is level 2. So will be assigned as a TPA for these organizations. This organization A11, A12, A13, A111, A1112, A112, A131, A132. He will not be assigned to this level 3 because we are restricting it to level 2 only. So these are the different options that are available as a part of access rights. Okay. So these are the different types of access rights we can create. Now, what kind of access they will have? It will depend upon the security policies, the domain security policies that is assigned to the TPA security role. So this is about the access rights to the organization. Now, access rights to multiple job workers. Now, this is a separate concept. So what multiple job workers mean is there is a concept called as additional job in Workday. So one employee will be assigned to only one position in Workday. Okay, one employee, one position. There can be a scenario where employees will be assigned to multiple positions. Position 1, position 2. So this position 2 will become the secondary job. This will become the primary job. So basically, this is an additional job for this employee. Now, this happens in scenarios where these employees are very senior resource, like he is at a chief or director level or something, though he will be in a particular position like head of engineering, and also will be serving as some other position because he is too valuable to be just serving one position. So there are cases where one employee might be taking care of two different responsibilities. So he might be assigned two different positions. Maybe this position he'll be assigned as an FTE, 75% FTE. So here he'll be 75% full-time employee, and on this position he'll be contributing somewhere around 25%. Total will be 100. So total should always be 100%. So here 75% FT, here 25% FT. Position 1 and position 2. So if there are employees who are in this kind of a setup, how would that security group has to how the security access should be given to that particular employee. So it says that role access to positions they support, role access for the primary job, and access to all positions, role access to all positions. If I say role access to all positions, the employee, the time profile approver. So Nikhil will have access to, Nikhil will be the time profile approver for this person on position 1 as well as position 2. Because essentially, these two positions will be on two different supervisory orgs. So should this employee, should Nikhil also have access to this employee on this position as well as this position? So that is where you will define this particular access rights. I'm going to take Amazon as an example again. Suppose this is how the Amazon's hierarchy is. Suppose this is how Amazon's hierarchy is. Instead of time profile approval, I'm going to take just HR partner as an example. Easy is easy to spell, HR partner. Okay. So these are different orgs in Workday: A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. You also have an org called as B, B2, B3. You also have one org called as C. Okay, just one org. So there is no superior, there is no subordinate, just a independent org. You just created one supervisory org called as C. Now, if I select the second option, applies to current organization and unassigned subordinates. If I assign HR partner here, I'll use a different color. Say if I assign HR partner on this particular org, what will happen? What I'm saying here is applies to current organization. and unassigned subordinates. So it will apply to the current organization. So it will only apply to this org A. And what are the unassigned subordinate? This is assigned as a subordinate to A. This is assigned as a subordinate. 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 Okay. This is assigned as a superior to A1. So there are subordinates. This is assigned as a superior. This is assigned as a superior to B1, B2. B1 is assigned as a subordinate to B. B2 is assigned as a subordinate to B. B3 is assigned as a subordinate to B2. B2 is assigned as a subordinate to B and a superior to B3. So there are assignments here as well. So it will not assign anyone here. It is only assigning here. Now let us see C. C is assigned as a subordinate to anyone? No. Is C assigned as superior to anyone? No. So it will also assign HR partner here. So Nikhil will be an HR partner for supervisory organization A as well as supervisory organization C. Supervisory organization A because that person Nikhil was assigned as an HR partner on current organization. Supervisory organization C is because Nikhil was assigned as a HR partner for unassigned org. So it will also assign HR partner on D. Now you might be thinking like, what is the scenario where like in which scenario this happens? Uh, some companies maintain an org called as retiree org. All the retired workers, they will move into this particular org. This org will have, they will have like 1,000 employees or how many ever employees who got retired, they all move into this particular org. So that is one of the scenarios where you will see an independently unassigned org. This is the most of the time this is the case. Otherwise, they will always be part of some kind of an hierarchy. So in that regard, you would rarely see someone using a second option. Most of the times, if you go to any kind of a role-based security, you will see that the security group is either of these two. It is either applies to organization and all subordinates, or it will be option one. Either it is only to the current organization or current organization and all subordinates. So what I'm doing is I'm going to create time profile approver as a applies to current organization and all subordinates. Role has position. I'm just going to leave it as a very first option. I create this particular security group. Now, if I go to our supervisory org called Global Modern Services. Now, if I go to role assignments, role, assign role. So right now you see there are 22 roles that are already assigned. So absence partner is a role-based security. It is assigned to some position. You can see the position number and currently who is the holder of that position. If there is no one who is holder, then you will only see the position number. So here I'll say time profile approver. Now let me just go back and look at the supervisory or global modern services. I think I created a position and nobody is hired into that position. All right, there are so many positions. So let's say I am going to use this position, for example. I'll say whomsoever is going to, so I'll say whomsoever is going to be assigned to P000850. Right now you see it is unfilled. That person will become the time profile approver. You can go to any one of, if you go to this employee, you can see what are the security groups that are assigned to this particular employee. So I'm going to Maria Cardoza here. I'll go to this employee, and if I go to the related actions here, scroll down to security here, security profile, view security groups. So which role we were saying? Absence partner. I can see absence partner is assigned to Maria. You can see this way. Maria is assigned absence partner. Now similarly, if I check for time profile approver, time profile, you will not find, because Maria is not assigned as a time profile approver. She's assigned 92 security groups, and one of the security groups that is assigned is absence partner. Now what I'm saying here is whomsoever is going to be assigned, if I go and look for time profile approver here, We currently don't have anyone assigned because we have assigned this time profile approver to a position. That position is currently unfilled. If I go to roles, assign roles, as a 4 I have assigned the time profile approver to this particular position, and currently this position is vacant. So let us go here and hire an employee. I'll go to hire employee. Just create a pre-hire. I'll name this pre-hire as so I'm hiring an employee into this position. Okay, so now this employee has been hired. Okay, if I now go to global modern services roles, now you can see time profile as approver is assigned to Jackson Stevenson. Okay, let me just correct the work date. So it is 4/5. For me, it is for me the date is 4/5 already, but for workday it is still, because this particular tenant follows a PST time zone. I think this particular setting is in business process somewhere. No, not in business process. Edit tenant settings system, I think. Hey, I cannot show you that. You can check in your own tenant because um, this is not the training tenant. So I don't want to. It might have some confidential information in the settings. I won't be able to show it. You can check your own training tenant. If you have access, you can go to edit tenant settings system, where you can see the time zone maintained. Or maybe I can show you a screenshot. Just a second. It is doing Pacific time. So default time zone is this. If you choose event related time zone, so what happens is, since I am from India, whenever I am doing any transactions, it is automatically defaulting to the date of my time zone. So that's why even though it is specific time, Workday is automatically selecting 5th of April, because today is 5th of April for me. Because the reason is event related time zone. If I say Workday default time zone, which is PST, it will always default to 4th of April, because I'm defaulting. I'm asking Workday to always follow the Workday default time zone, which is PST. If I say tenant default time zone, whichever time zone I maintain on the tenant level. So here it is maintained as PST again, but if I can maintain any European time zone or whatever time zone I want. So which time zone should business process follow will be determined here. Now you see Jackson is a time profile approver, assigned as a time profile approver. If I go to Jackson's profile, go to security policies. So go to security profile, view security groups. You can see Jackson is assigned a role-based security called as time profile approval. I'll just scroll down a little. Role-based security group. He is also assigned a lot of other security groups automatically, like job-based security, viewer security, okay, segment based security. It is all coming from a specific type of config, which is very security specific. I will not get deep into like segment security or intersection security, because it is not in the scope of this discussion. However, you can understand that intersection security is all these different security groups will be a derivative of role based, and the next security group that we are going to discuss is user based. So it is either a derivative of role based or user based. For example, if I open intersection security, you will see that you have two security groups within intersection security. If I open one of these security group, you'll see it is either a location membership. So this one is location membership. This is a workday delivered security group. but or it will be a role-based security group. Most of the times in intersection security, you will use a role-based security, or even the job-based security is also like similar to a role-based security. So you'll have to specify certain jobs which will be assigned for that, which will automatically default if this particular, which the security group will automatically default if a particular job is selected. A normal employee will not be assigned a normal employee will not be assigned any kind of role based security. If you're hiring a random person, that person will not be assigned any role based. They will be assigned certain like employee as self, certain mandatory security groups, but not all employees will have role based. Only specific administrative people will have role based security. All right. So let me go back. So this is about role-based security. Now let us talk about what is a user-based security. Now what you understand about role-based? Role-based meaning it is assigned to a role. So in role-based security, you are assigning the security to a position, and whichever employee will be assigned to that position will automatically receive the security privileges that is maintained on the security group. Now for time profile, I have not assigned any security permissions. I just created a security group. I have not assigned that person any kind of security permissions. Okay. But we will assign the security. We'll assign the domain security policies. I'll show you that. But for now, just understand this is how the security is assigned. A person will be assigned to a position. Position will be assigned to a role. Role will be assigned to a security. A person will be assigned to a position. A position will be assigned a role. Role will be assigned to a security, and security will have domain security policies. Security policies. So all this is going to stay constant except for this. If a person changes here, so today was one person, tomorrow it is a different person, this person will automatically receive all the security policy permission. The day this person leaves, he will also will leave the security policy access. Okay. That is a role based security. User based security is entirely different. User based security is directly assigned to a person. So suppose there is HR admin, it is directly assigned to a person, which means regardless of which position this employee is, today he is in one position, tomorrow he got promoted and moved to a different position, and then again he got promoted and moved to a different position. Regardless of which position he takes, he will always be an HR admin, because user based security is directly assigned to a people. If I go to any, if I go to Logan McNeil here, we know that there are a lot of administrative, you can see user based here. If I filter by user based, you can see one of the security groups that is assigned to her is HR admin. HR administrator is a user based security in Workday, and like I said, it is assigned directly to people. So you can see that there are certain people who are directly assigned the user based security in Workday. So you will directly assign it user base and assign users, and you'll assign the security group permissions directly to the security group. So you can either add it directly, like assign users and add the user, or you can go to the user and you can assign the security group directly. So that is the main difference between a role-based security group and a user-based security. User-based security is can be assigned directly on the person's profile, whereas role-based security is assigned to a position, and the person who will be holding that position will automatically receive the security access privileges. A person can have 100 role-based and 100 user-based. It is entirely possible. That is fine. A person can be an HR partner, HR admin, absence partner, absence admin. It can be all security groups. I recently implemented Workday for a very small organization. It has less than 100 people. So they had a very small HR team. They just had very few people, like five people, five or three people, I think, who were part of HR team. So each of these HR person had access so many access, like high level of access. So because everything will be done by these three people around the administrative work, they were assigned absence partner, they were assigned payroll partner, they were assigned com partner, they were assigned all types of security privileges because it was a small organization. So yeah, a person can have multiple security groups in Workday. There is no access, there is no restrictions around it. Again, depends on the organization. Some organizations use SSO, some organizations will use login passwords. So Workday provides both. If they want to use SSO, they can use SSO. If they want to use login password, it also has authenticator. So many organizations, what they do, they will use login password with an authenticator. Mm, when you are consultants, so when let's say you are joining as a consultant to an in an organization, they will usually give you a login password. They will not give you SSO because they will not create any company emails for you. Whenever you're using SSO, this SSO will be tied to a company server, right, where you will maintain all the credentials. You might be joining as a um, you might be created as a service center representative. So you will not be technically you will not be part of the company in Workday. You will not be part of the headcount. So you might be given a login password and with credentials. But if you are a company, if you're part of a company which also uses Workday as their HR system, you will be given SSO and you can just click on the SSO, it will automatically log in you. Same like how you currently use SSO, right? I mean, if you can just click on login with SSO, it will open your company login page. You can log in and it will log in. That's as easy as it. So access to Workday, when you create a Workday account. So when you are hiring an employee, if you remember, I spoke about the service steps called create Workday account. So when you hire an employee and you create a Workday account, now you have created an account for the employee. Now depending upon what type of access you want to provide, if you want to enable SSO, then there is a specific you have to hire the employee with an email ID. For example, if the company is Amazon, you have to hire the employee with, and the employee should have, like for example, nikhil@amazon.com. I should have this. Only then I will be able to use SSO, because SSO will be linked to your company page, right? But if you are hiring Nikhil as a service center representative, basically only to handle Workday operations, I will not be hired as an employee. So what they will do is they'll give me a login ID. I'll create a login. They'll go to edit Workday account. I'll show you how what happens is. So if I go to any random employee like Tom, I'll say edit Workday account. I'll go here. Say Tom
You,
Gar.
you mean to say contractors, Nikhil?
Contractors, contingent workers also like this. Depends
Mhm.
upon company to company. I'll go here. I'll say I want to edit as you see a password. I'll say I'll update the password. I'll send it to the employee and say that, hey, log in with this ID password. So when they try to log in, they will enter that ID password and then they'll log in.